In front of me, we have 10 different weaponized vehicles, all in ranging armor, effectiveness with their weapons, and overall capabilities. Some can be used in missions, some can't. And in today's video, I'll be ranking every single one of these vehicles on their overall effectiveness and where I think they belong in the list amongst the others. These vehicles we are going to be calling solo weaponized cars. And the reason I mean solo weaponized cars is, for example, this here is a weaponized vehicle that requires more than one person to be fully utilized. This is the Insurgent Pickup Custom. And we can see that I can drive the Insurgent Pickup Custom just fine, and I can even drop proximity mines out of the back. However, let's say a flying vehicle is shooting at me. Well, the only way as a solo player with no friends to get onto the machine gun is to hop into the back seat and then climb into the gunner point of view, which means nobody's driving the vehicle. I'm essentially a sitting duck. Because of this, while the Insurgent Pickup Custom is an absolutely fantastic vehicle at the end of the day, you still need two people to make it fully effective, which is why I do not rank this vehicle anywhere close to as effective as the other cars we have in today's list. I should also mention that all the weaponized vehicles we have around me fire missiles. I thought this was a super important thing to have, especially in 2024 where everybody's either flying an Oppressor Mark II or using an F-160 Raiju. It's very important to have missiles to obviously clear targets in the sky. With everything being said and listed, let's break into the number 10 position for today's video, which is the Pounder Custom. This is a massive semi-truck, and it is mainly used for your sail missions inside of the nightclub. It's a great vehicle in the fact that you can absolutely obliterate people when you're doing a nightclub sail mission, as this vehicle is able to survive a couple explosions, and the most important part is that it features a remote missile battery. And by the way, this missile battery is absolutely devastating. You can spam missiles like crazy with this battery. You have to wait a slight cooldown once you fired 4. But once the cooldown's done, I mean, look at that. That is insane. The fact that you have this much explosive capabilities on such a simple vehicle is what makes the Pounder Custom an absolute force to be reckoned with. The reason it doesn't make it any higher up on the list, even though it has this ridiculously dangerous battery, is first of all, it's locked by about 30 missiles, which really isn't anything impressive, and yeah, that's not going to get you all too far, especially because they're not homing. The other problem with the Pounder is the fact that it's huge and cannot survive any explosions. Yes, if you're doing a nightclub sail mission, it can survive explosions. However, if you're just driving around and you're using this as your main self-defense weapon, well, as we can see, one singular missile and the vehicle is completely obliterated. That's a pretty big downside, I've got to be completely honest, and it kind of takes away the majority of the effectiveness this vehicle has going for it. The reason why it made today's video is A, it does have a great self-defense mechanism if you're able to use it properly, and B, it's incredibly cheap. It's only about $200,000 to purchase this vehicle once you own the nightclub, and it's only about $500,000 to fully upgrade. When you add that together, this is by far one of the cheapest vehicles in the game to get fully weaponized, especially because you can do this as a level 1. In the number 9 position, we arrive to the weaponized Tampa. This is one of my favorite vehicles in the game. It looks incredibly nice. I love muscle cars, and putting a bunch of weapons on a muscle car, I mean, how can you hate it? And it also has some great weapons. As we can see on the front, it has front-mounted missiles. These are pretty awful, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like, the missiles are the same as any other vehicle. You can easily blow cars up in front of you if you hit a missile. The problem is, these are not homing missiles. They are just your standard missiles. So, while they will blow up anything they hit, you actually have to hit whatever you're aiming at. The other problem is, because they're mounted low on the car, if you hit a slight bump and the vehicle gets a little bit wedged down, for example, we can see the terrain kind of goes down here. If your car is facing the ground too much, you'll basically blow yourself up with one of these missiles, as this car cannot survive any explosions. But it has some other weapons as well. First of all, you have proximity mines that you can drop. And you're going to notice in just a moment, these cars drive over the mines, boom, they get absolutely obliterated. We have rear mortars. I'll be honest, these rear mortars are pretty useless, but it is still kind of cool that you can launch them out of the back of your car, just as another kind of defense mechanism. And by far the most important thing about the weaponized Tampa is this remote minigun, which, as we can see, will blow up any unarmored vehicle in about 3 seconds of shooting, which is kind of ridiculous. It's great for completing missions, and that's mainly because you can actually use this car in missions. There's not a lot of weaponized vehicles you are allowed to use in missions, so the fact that you can actually spawn and use the weaponized Tampa is fantastic. It's also fairly fast because it doesn't feature much armor. But yes, in terms of armor, it has no bulletproof effectiveness whatsoever, and as we know, this vehicle cannot survive any explosions. So if you happen to blow a car up right in front of you, you're gonna die. I really like the weaponized Tampa, but it definitely has a lot of limiting factors. Mainly the fact that those front-mounted missiles screw you over is why it doesn't make it higher up in the list. In number 8, we have the Scramjet. Now this one's gonna have some people agreeing with me and some people disagreeing. I am 50-50 when it comes to the Scramjet's capabilities. You see, there's a lot of people out there that will argue the jumping with rocket boost ability paired with incredibly dangerous homing missiles is an absolute S tier for this vehicle, because you can absolutely dunk people with the homing missiles, especially oppressors and vehicles that you normally wouldn't be able to see if they're flying directly above you. Well, with the Scramjet, because you can jump and launch into the air, it means you can easily just, jump, get a lock on a vehicle, and then go back into cover with the rocket boost. So I definitely see that argument and that side of why people would say this vehicle's higher up on the list. However, the Scramjet has a lot of downsides. First of all, it cannot survive any explosions. This instantly makes it inferior to vehicles like the Toreador and the Stromberg. Not only that, but the Scramjet's rocket boost takes very long to recharge, and it's an incredibly powerful rocket boost, making this vehicle very, very hard to control. If you launch this car into the air and you want to make it somewhere without absolutely dying, well, it's quite actually challenging to do that. And because of this, I think the Scramjet's an incredibly fun vehicle. In fact, I would say it's one of the most fun cars to own in the game. And the missiles do allow it to be actually quite a good self-defense vehicle. I just don't think it's as good as the other cars in today's video. Some of you might be thinking I put these vehicles in order for today's video, however, you're going to find out that that's actually not the case, because the next vehicle we have in the number 7 position is the Stromberg, situated all the way over here. I actually really like the Stromberg, and I think for beginners, it's a great car, mainly because of the fact it is fairly inexpensive. Rockstar reduced the price tag when they coincidentally increased the price tag of vehicles like the Toreador, Deluxo, and the Oppressor Mark II. Now, the Stromberg is amazing for a couple reasons. First of all, it features one of the most dangerous front-mounted machine guns right up there next to the Toreador. You saw how fast I blew up cars with my weaponized Tampa. Look at how fast you blow up cars with these machine guns. It is the exact same amount of time. It makes literally 0 sense. I don't understand why these machine guns do the same damage as literal, Gatling guns, but, we got a big semi-truck in front of us, and let's just shoot... Oh, okay. Well, let's just shoot at the semi-truck. I don't know if that... No, it does count as actually shooting it. Yeah, it's a little stupid how much damage those machine guns do. So if you ever have a car in front of you, and you're out of missiles, well, don't worry, you still have a super dangerous gun. The other thing that is great about the Stromberg is that it does feature missiles, and these are homing missiles. They are Mark II homing missiles. They are just as effective as the Ruiner 2000s, the Vigilantes, and the Scramjets, which means that essentially any flying vehicle that doesn't have flares is instantly screwed. And even if they do have flares, if you're able to just keep shooting missiles at them, there's really not much you're going to be able to avoid them with. The better thing that I really like about the Stromberg is that it can survive 2 homing missiles, the third one blowing it up. That means you can actually take a bit of a beating in this car. It's just great for many different reasons. It also has the added benefit of being able to go underwater. You can see us put it in the water mode right here. However, I don't really care about water mode. I'm going to be honest, I've never ever used this vehicle in the water apart from showcasing its capabilities in a video. Yeah, so I don't really think that's that much of a benefit, but it does exist. You can shoot torpedoes under the water. One of the things that's great about the Stromberg is the missiles come automatically equipped on this car. You don't need to go and, unlock bunker research or something like that. It's already included. So I actually really like the Stromberg. I think it's a very solid choice to pick up. In the 6th place position, we have the Oppressor. This is an absolutely incredible motorcycle. It's definitely gotten overshadowed and a bit nerfed due to just power creep over the years, but the Oppressor is still amazing for a couple reasons. First of all, it can fly. Now, it's not necessarily flying, more like gliding with a bit of a boost, but the fact that you can bring it into the air, get a bit of a rocket jump, and then all you have to do is touch the ground very briefly, and then you can continue flying until you run out of your boost again, is really, really fun. The Oppressor features homing missiles. Unfortunately, just like the Oppressor Mark II's homing missiles, they were nerfed, so they're not going to be nearly as effective taking out flying vehicles as missiles on the Toreador, Deluxo, or Strombergs would be. But the fact that this bike is incredibly fast on speed, in fact, it's way faster than the Oppressor Mark II in terms of actual top speed on the ground, when you pair that with the fact that you can just launch into the air immediately, it actually makes this a great dogfighting little bike because it's super easy to dodge missiles with, and you just go back on the ground. You can maneuver through bridges and through little tough areas. I think the Oppressor is a fantastic bike to pick up, and definitely for the fun factor. But in terms of overall effectiveness, I don't really think you're going to be taking out too many people. I like vehicles that can hover when it comes to the flying weaponized vehicles because you can just kind of sit in one spot and lob missiles at people, where this isn't going to be great for doing missions necessarily. It's more of just a good dogfighting vehicle. In the number 5 position, we have a vehicle that might surprise some of you, this being the Vigilante. You might be saying, well, why would you rank the Vigilante above something like the Stromberg or the Scramjet, which both feature much better capabilities in either armor or overall rocket boost and even a jump ability? Well, the thing about the Vigilante is that it can be used in missions. In fact, yesterday I made a video talking about all the mission vehicles and why they are absolutely incredible. And the Vigilante checks that box. It is the only weaponized car in the game that you can spawn in a heist setup, in a mission, in anything that you normally wouldn't be able to spawn something like a Toreador or Deluxo in that has homing missiles. Because of this, the Vigilante is an absolute S-tier buy. If you ever plan on doing missions or heists with a friend, the Vigilante is already the #1 vehicle that you should plan on buying. Now, it's not the best for every mission. The Armored Kuruma is also absolutely fantastic because you'll just never die when using the Kuruma. But in terms of completing these missions really, really fast and just blowing everything up, Vigilante is absolutely insane. I use it every single time for the Dr. Dre and Johnny Gunn's contracts because of just how effective this vehicle is. It's also the only rocket boosting vehicle that you're able to spawn in missions as well. So it's just kind of a really, really good car. And even if you are in a public lobby, these are still super dangerous missiles. They're just as dangerous as any other vehicles. So if there's an Oppressor shooting at you or somebody's trying to kill you, you can easily blow them up. But you can see the big problem. One misplaced missile that hits the ground in front of you, or, obviously from somebody else, your vehicle's going to blow up, which defeats a lot of its capabilities. So while I do think the Vigilante deserves a lot of recognition for being able to use it in missions, I don't think that it breaks the top 4. Speaking of the top 4, we arrive at the Oppressor Mark II. Now, some of you might be wondering, why the heck is the Oppressor Mark II not in 1st place, or 2nd place at least? Well, there's a couple of reasons which we'll break into, but I first want to mention that I think the Oppressor Mark II is an incredibly useful vehicle. It's very fast. If you use the handbrake, you can achieve a top speed of 130 miles per hour in the air at all times. That's incredibly fast. Not only that, but the Oppressor Mark II features homing missiles, it has flares, and it's just a really, really fast vehicle which allows you to maneuver anywhere you want and instantly lands, making it much faster than a lot of helicopters, at least in that type of category. But, speaking of helicopters, if you compare the Oppressor Mark II to the Sparrow, it's a pretty close competition, and the problem is the Oppressor Mark II comes in at a price tag of $8 million. You see, if you already own this vehicle, it's great. It's super fast, it's incredibly easy to spawn in, and if you own more than one of them, you can literally call them in instantly through your interaction menu in the Motorcycle Club. But, well, first of all, the Oppressor Mark II's homing missiles are not good. They are quite average. They're the same you'll find on jets and flying vehicles. Because of that, trying to home in on any flying vehicle is going to be a pain in the butt, especially because some of them may have explosive machine guns, or some of them might feature missiles like the Ruiner 2000, which will absolutely decimate you. The other problem is these flares on the Oppressor Mark II, well, they're absolutely dookie. You only shoot 2 of them instead of the normal 4, and they take 15 seconds to recharge. So, while I do think the Oppressor Mark II is great, I think the price tag and the fact that the Sparrow does basically everything this vehicle does for a fraction of the price is just, I don't know. I personally have never loved this vehicle, but I will say, for grinding money and overall mobility, the Oppressor Mark II is still absolutely goated and a fantastic vehicle. But in terms of self-defense, I just don't see the missiles really being that dangerous anymore to a point where I would use this over, let's say, a Deluxo. So let's break into the top 3 vehicles now. And as you'll notice at the bottom of my screen, the game is telling me to enter the Ruiner 2000, specifically this Ruiner 2000. You see, if you register as a CEO and you make your way over to VIP work, there's a job called Fully Loaded, and that's currently what I'm doing. If you own a Ruiner 2000, you are able to start this VIP job whenever you want. And it's absolutely insane. First of all, this vehicle features the same capabilities that any other fully upgraded Ruiner 2000 would have. It has missiles, it has a machine gun, and it has the jump with the parachute. And I'm going to show you just how stupid this vehicle is. So I'm just going to put it into the wall here and start shooting explosion missiles. So there's 1, we got 2. The only problem is, as you can see, it kind of gets launched quite a bit. But there's 3. There we go. 4. All right. 5. I think you can start to understand why this vehicle's a little stupid. That's our 6th. 7th missile now on us. 8th. Keep going. 9th. All right. Let's go over here. 10th. All right. 11. 12. Holy, we are at 12 homing missiles. 13 homing missiles. 14 homing missiles. 15 homing missiles. 16, 17. We are smoking finally. After 17 homing missiles, our Ruiner 2000 has started to smoke. 18. It is still not on fire. All right, let's head over here. 19. Oh my rat. 20. 21. 22. I don't think I need to make any more arguments. This is absolutely stupid. The fact that the game gives you a Ruiner 2000 that is nearly indestructible. I should also mention to you that no online players have the ability to fire homing missiles at you because it's a mission vehicle. So you are basically unkillable. And when you pair that with the fact that you have homing missiles, which are absolutely devastating, you have a machine gun that is useless, but I guess you still have it. You can jump into the air, you can fire missiles. Yeah, this vehicle is a little bit nutty. And even if it does get blown up, you can call one in, or not even call one in, just another one spawns immediately after. So, yeah, the Ruiner 2000 is an absolute steal, and I don't think anybody can disagree with that. And then there were 2. We have the Toreador and the Deluxo. Both of these vehicles are absolutely fantastic, but I have to say one of them is slightly worse, at least in my opinion, and that is the Toreador. Why? Well, I guess we'll break into why the Deluxo is just kind of the best vehicle after. Let's just talk about why the Toreador is great, because it's in 2nd place, and there really isn't anything negative about this car. First of all, the Toreador is fast. It features a rocket boost, which you can see me activating right here. That rocket boost is incredibly fast on recharging. You can see it only takes about 3 seconds to recharge, and it does boost you up to about 140 miles per hour, which is absolutely fantastic. The Toreador features homing missiles, and these are just as dangerous as the Deluxo. As any other, vehicles, homing missiles, they are incredibly dangerous. And the best part about the Toreador's homing missiles is they are infinite. There's some people that think that the vehicle lost its infinite missiles when it got nerfed, but that is not the case. The only thing the nerf did to this car was it stopped it from being able to be used in missions, but it still features unlimited homing missiles. It is the only car in the game that has that ability, which makes it an absolute GOAT already. When you pair that with the fact that the Toreador can also survive upwards of 8 to 7 homing missiles being fired at it, it means that this vehicle is very hard to destroy. It is fast. It has great handling. It's a 4-seater, which means if you have friends, you can hop them in. And obviously, with unlimited homing missiles, you are going to be an absolute menace. I would say that any decent Toreador driver can go up against some of the best jet and best Oppressor drivers easily and take them out because of the fact that this thing is just so absolutely dangerous. So I love this vehicle. The only problem with it is that it is very expensive, and also it can't really shoot flying vehicles easily because, well, here's the way that I usually deal with flying vehicles. If I see somebody in a jet or an Oppressor is trying to come after me, I'll launch my vehicle into the air, and then I'll try and maneuver the vehicle in the air to get a lock on whatever I'm shooting at, and then I'll go back onto the ground. But if you're in the city, you might not always have that opportunity, and if there is an Oppressor or some sort of helicopter above you, it can be incredibly hard to take them out. And if they have flares, you only get one missile on them, they just shoot the flare and it misses. So that's why I do think this vehicle, while it is incredibly dangerous, it's the only real downside is that you don't have a jump. If this vehicle had a jump, it would easily be in the #1 slot. And that brings us to the #1 position, the Deluxo. I absolutely love this car for many reasons. First of all, it can fly. Just like the Oppressor Mark II, this vehicle can hover. So let's say I want to shoot at a construction worker down here. Well, no problem. I just keep my vehicle in the air, and it is incredibly easy to choose exactly where you want your missiles to fire. This is great, and it allows the Deluxo to be absolutely fantastic. Not only can it hover and it can fly, but it is also one of the best vehicles in the game for dodging missiles. And that is because of the fact that you can just turn down or up, and even Mark II missiles will miss you if you're going full speed towards them and at the last second you go up or down. It's actually super dangerous because of that, and it allows skilled Deluxo pilots to be incredibly scary to fight in jets. A couple months ago, I was testing the Deluxo versus the F-160 Raiju, and a Raiju flying at max speed cannot outmaneuver a Deluxo missile at all, and if it fires missiles at the Deluxo, all you need to do is turn towards them and they will miss. So yeah, it's pretty dang insane. The other thing about the Deluxo that is really, really nice is the fact that it's super, super fast on road, driving at 127 miles per hour with fantastic handling. This makes it one of the fastest sports classics in the game. And because of that, it makes the vehicle super easy to use whenever you want it. So the Deluxo is fast. It's able to beat just about any jet in the game in a dogfight because you can dodge the missiles easily and then shoot them right back at the player. And the best part about the Deluxo is that it can also be used for any water missions. There's not a lot of vehicles in the game, apart from the Toreador and the Stromberg, that can be used for water missions. The problem with the Stromberg is it's pretty slow, and because of that, it takes a while to do the water missions in. If you hop out of the Deluxo while it's hovering over the water, it will fly away from you for a little bit, but as long as you get swimming to it, you can hop right in while it's under the water, and you can use it just like a normal car. Makes missions super easy to complete above the water. I just love the Deluxo. It's an amazing vehicle. I would recommend any player that hasn't used it a lot to mess around with it. It's absolutely fantastic. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my takes. And yeah, I mean, obviously this is an opinionated list, but I'm pretty confident that at least the top 5 for today's video, the majority of people will agree with. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.